West Ham have never beaten Brighton in the Premier League. Yes, you have heard me right. West Ham have never beaten Brighton and Hove Albion in the Premier League, and that continued. That did continue yesterday as West Ham went to Amex Stadium and got absolutely destroyed 4-0. When I say destroyed, I mean physically and utterly taken apart on the football field. It was an embarrassing performance. It was a disgraceful performance. In actual fact, there was no performance from West Ham because nothing we did on that park yesterday shown any sign of fight, determination, pride, anything, nothing was shown on that field. You can't walk away with your head held high if you're David Moyes, if you are the players, if you are the staff. That was an absolutely disgraceful performance. And the only people that can walk away with their heads held high, and we all know that they won't, is the West Ham fans because they sang loud and proud from the stands, as we all did from our seats wherever we were watching it in the world. Disgraceful performance. Very difficult to even talk about, to be honest, because things need to change. And that was, for me, one of the final nails in the coffin. Now, this is the 5 things we learned from the Brighton game. It's not ideal that we go on really about it, but we essentially are here to talk about it. We do it every week, so we're going to do it again. And I suppose it really gives you an insight into how I feel about things as we go on. Now, listen, um, I'm not going to talk about the pre-game. You know, I felt confident going into it. I think the Nottingham Forest game probably gave us a sense of hope about what we potentially could achieve if we go at teams. And that's something that we certainly didn't do. But I suppose that really does bring me to my first point, and that is that our prep was wrong. Now, what do I mean when I say our prep was wrong? Well, you don't have to be a world class football coach to know the style of play that Brighton play. Graham Potter left the club to go to Chelsea, and the new manager, of course, he wasn't available to be on the touchline today due to a ban, but the new manager has continued and grown and built upon what was built there with Graham Potter. But we do know what style of play Brighton play. Brighton like to invite the opposition back into their own half and then find all those little pockets of space in behind, play the ball through the middle, and very quickly they transition from defense into attack so quickly with a short amount of moves. And then they don't panic when they're on the ball. And we did not do our prep before the game, because I'm telling you now, if we had prepped before the game, the key element was gain the ball, gain possession, and frustrate the opposition. But that's not what we could do, because I tell you what, see, today we could not get that ball off of Brighton and Hove Albion. So fair play to bloody them. The next point I'm going to bring to you is the formation. 1 minute we're 5 at the back, the next minute we're 4 at the back, then we're 3 at the back. What the hell are we actually doing? Do we really know our best formation in this team? We played 4 at the back against Manchester United midweek. That didn't work out for us. We, of course, played the style of play we did last week against Nottingham Forest, which did work out for us, but we're not showing any consistency in what we're actually trying to do. We're either one way or the other, and we can't transition. And I don't know why we can't transition in these games. And that's what we need to be able to do. We need to be able to utilize our squad in the right manner, but we are not showing that fight nor that determination on the park, which is ridiculous, which again leads me to the changing of tactics. Why can't we change tactics throughout a game? Why do we have to stick with the same old? It's not working. If it's in a game, you're against Manchester United midweek, and what you noticed was West Ham couldn't hold the ball up. We could not hold the ball up. Antonio couldn't hold the ball up and play, and we couldn't get to the first ball. So what do you do if you are a manager of a team that's happening like that? You make a change and you change the tactics, but we did not do that, and we had no interest in doing it. And it happened again today because Danny Ings made several runs for West Ham, but he ran for nothing because nothing was fed into him today at all. And that is a pointless exercise. And what frustrates me is the fact that we continue to do it, and the substitutions that we made were not matching what Brighton were putting on the field, and they were 2-0 up and they were making positive substitutions, but what we were doing, making negative substitutions, and they were late today and they weren't at the right timing, and it really baffled me as a West Ham fan, which takes me to the next point. We're not reactive nor are we proactive. Because to be reactive, it means that something's not going right and you need to make a change. But to be proactive means that you want to try and change the game, so you make a substitution nice early doors. What do we do? Absolutely nothing. We didn't do anything. I think you can only maybe talk about the Ben situation, but that's a foregone conclusion. We all know what's happening with the Ben situation. We know that David Moyes doesn't fancy him, and that is a substitution he's going to make. Now, Ben performance in the first half was nothing to write home about, and in actual fact, bringing Fornals on was maybe going to be the energy that we needed. But to be honest, we started the second half how we finished the first half. Disgraceful, no shots on goal in that game in the second half. I mean, what else are you going to do? We're talking about making chances and creating chances, and the finer details and the smaller margins is what's holding us back and not giving us the boost to progress as a club. Well, today we couldn't even create those small margins. There was no creativity, no forward thinking. Nobody really knew what they were doing. There was a big mix-up all over the park. Players were losing the ball left, right, and centre. And that was the story of the day. We couldn't pinpoint 3 passes together on that field. I think there was several times, maybe I can only count with one hand, that we had passages of play maybe 4 or 5 times in that game, and of which we had the ball maybe made 3 to 8 successful passes. And when we did lose it, it went straight to Brighton, who held hold of possession up to 40, 50 touches before they progressed and made a good chance at goal. We were lucky. We walked away 4-0 loss. Lucky it wasn't 5, 6, 7 as well. That takes me to the next point. We don't actually know our best starting 11. Nobody knows our best starting 11 because we've never had a chance to have the players fit. And even if we do have the players fit, we're actually unsure about what David Moyes thinks of these players. Ogbonna featured again today. He is slow on the uptake back in the defence. He is and has matured with like a fine wine, the Italian centre half, but we are still relying on a player that is in his middle aged 30s and still leading the line for our defence, as we of course sold Craig Dawson to Wolves, who ran out man of the match for Wolverhampton yesterday over their victory against Spurs. You've got favourites in the team. You could say Jared Bowen wasn't, albeit Jared Bowen had a good game last week, but this week was non-existent, as was any of our players. I don't want to sit here and slag off Ben Johnson. It was not his best game in a West Ham shirt today. He really, really struggled with the issues that Brighton were throwing at him, and was at fault for a couple of the goals. But to be honest, you can blame the whole team for them. What you saw from West Ham today was a lack of communication, a lack of grit, determination, fight, anything, showing West Ham fans that they've got fight on that park. They're going to turn up week in and week out and provide us with an opportunity to try and push on and push our way up the league. It looks a little bit like we're now becoming reliant on the fact that we hope that 3 clubs are worse than West Ham, but that's a very dangerous game to play, especially when Southampton pick up points and other clubs in and around us pick up points. We may be lucky. We may be lucky come the end of the season that there are 3 other clubs that are worse than us, but I tell you what, there is fine margins there, and we are very, very close to that. And I've been sticking by David Moyes most of this season, and as each game goes by, that dwindles away. And I have to put it out there now. I can't see a way out of this situation right now. I don't like what I'm seeing on the park. I've not liked what I've seen all season, but I've always potentially given him a little bit of extra credit in the bank to be able to get West Ham out of this situation. But that performance yesterday was a disgrace. I've not seen anything like that for years. I've not seen anything like that for many a year as a West Ham fan. We'd done a show last night where we were trying to talk about and bring up occasions where we felt like we had saw something similar, but it's very tough to do because it hasn't been like that for such a long time. It was an extremely embarrassing performance, not just from a manager's point of view, not just from a coach's point of view, but from a player's point of view. Declan Rice, captain, didn't even look like he wanted the ball. Agard was mistiming tackles and mistiming passes. We've done it all throughout the park. We could not keep possession, but I'm worried and I'm scared at the thought that why we can't be proactive or reactive. And it really does give you food for thought. Right now, I'm starting to think that within reason, that bringing someone else in could be the right decision for West Ham, because what's going to happen come the summer is we've got another transition going to take place. We've got an aging squad with players out of contract, and we're going to have to find something to do to transition, especially with the news about Declan Rice potentially will be heading out the club this summer. So is the time right now to change up manager, to try and go for that bounce? Because I tell you what, see right now, a bounce of results would be massive for us to keep us in this Premier League, and that's got to be the priority. And results like yesterday ain't going to help that, because I tell you what, that's going to knock morale, knock confidence. When some of the fans who thought that was going to help them after the victory over Nottingham Forest, that is going to take them, flip it round and run them up the wrong way that they don't want to do. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens moving forward. It's a big, big, big run in for the end of the season. We're still in Europa Conference League. Of course, we're playing Larnaca on Thursday. We are still in the Premier League with only 13 Premier League games to go. We need points, and we need points desperately, and we need to get them on the board ASAP, because we want to create a gap between us and the bottom three as soon as we possibly can. Let's hope we're not in that bloody bottom three. It's horrible, horrible show. Don't like doing it, but hey ho, that's what happens. We'll speak to you soon. Take it easy. Come on, your irons.